So guys, NFTs, right, is one of these things that it's something I've been made aware of, obviously through playing SoRare and everything as well, but it seems to be on the tip of everyone's tongue at the moment. It's all across Twitter for different reasons with different people. And, you know, I just wanted to take this opportunity to give my perspective on why this is such a massive, like, game changer to the space and everything around it. If you're new around here, guys, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Please like the video if you enjoy the content. Now, NFTs run on two Ethereum token standards, ERC-721 and ERC-1155. Okay, what this basically allows to happen is any tokens that are issued on those two standards for tokens, then they basically have a digital fingerprint and a digital footprint throughout its whole life. You know, in terms of what transactions transpire around it or for it. And as I say, the fingerprint of authenticity, you know it is what it is. There's no fudging it. There's no kind of making it up. It's infallible in that sense, you know. Which when you apply that, like SoRare have in particular, to collector items, collector pieces, you know, the sports trading card world. There's a lot of stuff we'll talk about, but all these things, they do suffer, and you do worry when you enter these markets about forgery, about authenticity, about actual value, you know, because your collection, you know, my collection is probably worth a good couple of grand, you know, and I see that as a store of value. You know, when I'm buying pieces or when I'm buying something and then getting it signed or whatever, I see that as an investment that I've got this sitting here, and at any time within reason I can sell it within a period, you know. So there's two sides to collecting, of course. There's just keeping and hoarding, and you never want to release it, and that's fine. Some pieces will be like that. My picture on the wall out there, you can see, is a match Warren, 2 goals scored in, Henrik Larsson, Celtic shirt, hand signed to Jonathan, number 7, belter, right? So there's things that you'll never part with, and there's some things that, yeah, do you know what, if it got rare enough and expensive enough, I would sell it. Star Wars toys from the 70s, you know, that kind of thing. But what NFTs allow is that you don't need to get that certificate of authenticity, you don't need to go and get the card minted. And because it's digital, you can take it anywhere at any time. It's not like, oh, well, I've got this room, this cupboard, whatever you want to call it, it's got all my stuff in it. But if I go meet somebody for the first time, I've never seen them, we have a shared interest, I go, oh, look at this. All I would have is like pictures of the items, which is fair enough. Some things you do want them to be tangible, like action figures and cards, that kind of thing. Maybe you do want to have something tangible. But we are moving through a different age now. And again, you'll see that with some of the stuff we talk about, FIFA Ultimate Team and whatever, where digital assets, you definitely do have an attachment to these items. You know, it might just be in your phone or on your computer or whatever, but, you know, try and tell me you've never played Football Manager, you've never played a computer game and became attached to your character that you've customized or built or whatever. Never mind the football related things perhaps, or other things of a similar nature. Now, using FIFA Ultimate Team as an example towards what SoRare is very applicable, of course, right, because it's all football related. But if you were to move one step above that, right, the amount of money that's spent on in-game purchases for computer games on like custom-made characters, as well as, you know, building a fantasy football team to play against your friends, fantasy basketball team, you know, all the stuff that EA profiteer from, this kind of Ultimate Team concept that they've made. But beyond that, you've also got a wide plethora of games that have a similar kind of dynamic to it. Like I mentioned a second ago, whether they're customizing a character or, you know, your RPGs and different things, whatever. If you then have the ability, and, you know, there's there's a famous episode of South Park where they kind of talk about it, but in the World of Warcraft, you know, there's things on that are sold for like mega money, because they're valuable in the game, and those things aren't NFTs, of course, but they do have a similar property in the sense that they are in-game transferable items, you know. And when you've got the ability to then not just transfer it within a game, but if you can actually take it into another game and use it there, but it's compatible, then the whole computer, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, that whole marketplace becomes opened up to the possibility of NFTs and how they can improve that side of, you know, their fan experience, their gamer experience, you know. And it does speak volumes, by the way. One of the people involved in the whole SoRare project is Ubisoft, so that's worth noting for yourself. There's a fantasy football element, of course, to things like SoRare in particular, and that kind of competitive leaderboard aspect, you know, prizes, rewards, gratification, etc. Also has a massive part in it. Sports cards and general sports memorabilia as well. There's also a massive cryptocurrency element to NFTs because it's built on the blockchain, as we spoke about earlier, and on a podcast on the SoRare podcast with Hybe, You Never Walk Alone. I think it was with AJ they were talking about this, but it was something like there's 50 million Ethereum wallets, that exist in the world, so there's another community that this kind of converges with. But one thing I can tell you right now that no one has really taken into consideration so far that I would want you to be aware about when it comes to not just the NFT side of things, but SoRare in particular, is when you talk about sports cards and memorabilia and all that kind of stuff, those cards that don't have any real purpose. For all intents and purposes, it's a glorified picture on a back card. That's all it does. That's all it is. Yeah, you get top trumps, right? Not really the same thing. When it comes to something like sports and football, you want live stats. You want their stats from the last match. My last match against your last match. Whose team's better? That kind of aspect. The only other kind of trading card game, in my opinion, you've got Pokemon and other things, of course, right? But the poster child of competitive card playing games is Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering has been around, I think, since like the 80s or something like that. And you can see alone, for something that's probably seen as most people to be quite nerdy and kind of, Dungeons and Dragons and all that kind of stigma and all that kind of stuff, these cards sell for a lot of money. The most expensive one is called a Black Lotus. Can't remember exactly what it went for, but it was like eye-watering amounts of money. And the reason that card is so valuable is because it's mega powerful in competitive tournaments where Magic the Gathering players go up against each other for massive pots of money. So again, cards that can be utilised in that way become much more sought after. When you add into something, Magic is just a made-up game. But if this was also hybrided with, which it is in the SoRare instance, with that sports memorabilia, that collector side of things, and you've got this perfect storm of a lot of different communities kind of converging together, and that's why you'll be hearing about NFTs a lot at the moment, and I would imagine for the foreseeable future. This is just with soccer/football. NBA Top Shot with basketball's doing very well, and there's other ones I'm not as familiar with, F1 and whatever as well. But as this grows and expands, you will hear more and more about it, and it's something that you should really educate yourself on and get a better understanding of, because while these things are in their infancy, there is a lot of opportunities for people to get a great collection cheaper than what they will further down the road, or be able to profiteer out of it, whether it be from winning tournaments, whether it be from buying people, sitting on them, believing in their ability, or whatever it is. It could be a different space entirely, and it could be about another dynamic, but you understand the point. So take time, make sure you find out more about the mechanics. I've actually linked down below a podcast with Andrew Steinwold of Zima, with Brian O'Hagan from SoRare. And if you want to know a little bit more about the kind of upper levels of NFTs and how they operate and that kind of thing, then that's a great podcast for you to go listen to as well. I'm very excited as a kind of seasoned collector of different things, that I think that this really does answer a lot of problems for a lot of people. And for digital things that can be digitized, that isn't an action figure, you can't digitize an action figure, then I think this is absolutely game changing, and you're going to hear more and more about it. And if you've enjoyed the video, guys, please make sure you do like and subscribe. There's some videos going to hover on the screen now that you might like, and feel free to go and have a wee watch of them. All the support for the channel is greatly appreciated. Stay out of trouble, guys.
Power.